Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is the 5-minute Bible study that goes where no 5-minute Bible study has gone before. So you just tune right in. We're going to be looking this week and next at Psalm 132. Psalm 132 is another one of the Ascent Psalms, a song for those ascending. And that's really all we have about it in the text as far as the superscript goes. However, many commentators think that, and rabbis in the past, and many of the saints of the past have ascribed this to David. They've said that, David's the one that wrote it, but it really appears more to have been written after him. There's another camp that says Solomon wrote it, and there's some evidence for that. We'll talk about that on Friday. And then there's some that say it was written after the people returned from captivity and were building the second temple. Well, we'll see about that as we go through, but I think probably most of the evidence here points to Solomon's work. It's a beautiful psalm, a great prayer, and we're just going to jump right in here. I'm going to read verses 1 and 2 today. Remember, O Lord, David, all his afflictions, which he swore to the Lord, he vowed to the strong one of Jacob. That's the way the psalm opens. It's 18 verses long. We're going to do 9 verses this week and 9 next. We begin with the mention of David. Actually, the psalm divides itself very nicely for us because here we have David mentioned, and in verse 10 we have David mentioned. So a nice division, a nice place to break the psalm into two pieces. Remember, O Lord, David, all his afflictions. Of course, we know all of David's afflictions, don't we? We know how he was persecuted and prosecuted by Saul. He was chased by him. Finally, he left the country. Saul died in the battle with the Philistines on Mount Gilboa. Then David was made king over Judah and still had a long war with Saul's house. And then after that ended, he was made king over all of Israel. But then the Philistines decided that they were going to try the mettle out of this fellow David. And so David had conflict with the Philistines and the Moabites and the Syrians and the Assyrians. They were continually giving him trouble, and of course, more than just that, more than the political problems and the warfare that he faced, David faced the spiritual trouble that we've been reading about for the last 3.5 years. He's been a great guide for us because we see in David the affliction that we too face. And then it says, remember, Lord, David, all his affliction, which he swore to the Lord. He vowed to the strong one of Jacob. So there's a promise in play. And if we accept that Solomon's the one that wrote this, or it was penned during the time of Solomon, during the time of the construction of the first temple or the finishing of the first temple, then we could say that we are remembering a vow that David had made, and maybe in a grand state, we're looking at how this was used to declare the wonder of the building of that first temple. He swore to the Lord, he vowed to the strong one. Notice that, the strong one of Jacob. That's another ancient name for the Lord, the strong one of Jacob. And actually we have it in this psalm twice. We have it here in verse 2, and we have it also in verse 5. Now, I said that this is a song for those ascending, and you might, really kind of enjoy the fact that here we have a psalm probably written around the time of the temple construction, and now has made its way into the traveling songbook for the pilgrims. This is helping the pilgrims to remember why the temple was made at all. Why in the world do we have this? Because David made a promise. He made a vow to the strong one of Israel, and that vow happened to be, well, we'll find out tomorrow. So I hope you join me then. We're going to look at verses 3 and 4 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.